All right. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing today? I am glad you guys are here. Glad you guys are hanging out with us, doing some GameDevHQ stuff today. And what are we going to focus in on? We're going to focus in on something that one of my Discord users asked a question about. His name, he goes by VP3 on our Discord, but he was curious about how do we get well he put out a poll because he wanted a whole bunch of 2D assets, and I don't like building 2D assets at all. And I don't like it specifically because I don't know the style of 2D that people want. There's so many variations. We could even go on to 2D game art, and we could just hit the image button, and there's this kind of drawn style right here. There's this, it's kind of pixel art, but it's not really. There's this type of pixel art which is all smooth, and it has like this whole, I don't know, almost like a Angry Birds kind of feel to it, and stuff like that. There's like the Mario, the pseudo Mario type. There's this type of realistic background, and you could see just like little pixels adjust everything. Not even mentioning like the lighting style. You could see that this stuff right here is lit in the background. It's got this nice little what do they call it? Like an edge bleed. I think that's what they called it in After Effects, is an edge bleed. You got a very simple style. There's so many styles. So if I were to take, let's say one canister, one cube, I could have 15 variations art-wise of it, and then I don't even know if it's the same pixel aspect size that you guys want to use. Maybe you guys want to use something completely different. There's so many ranges of factors that go into this, and I mean, look, there's a 2D game art. You got character, background, vector, pixel, cartoon, just minimalist. We could go on and on and on. There's so much. I could not possibly hire enough artists to satisfy everybody and their art style. And considering that we have, thousands. I mean, we have 1,100 asset packs on the Unity store, but I honestly think we have maybe 3,000 game assets on our Filebase store that, if you did 15 per 3,000, I mean, I could have someone working forever, and their stuff may never even be used. So, how about we give you guys the key to the kingdom? How about we give you guys the ability to make whatever it is that you guys want to do? And I'll show you how I do it. And it's specifically how we created our 2D assets for the what you call it, the 2D course, the mobile course that we created on our platform. And it wasn't exactly how, but it's the same exact concept. And I think you guys should be able to pretty much start building your own 2D assets in Unity. And now you just need a library to pull from, and that library can easily be the GameDevHQ Filebase library. So it's interesting, but I'm this is one of those like, here, let me give you guys the keys to the city and you guys run around with it. So what do we need to do? How do we start this all off? So what I'm going to do is I actually I have this 2.5D, but I'm gonna be starting with a what you call it, a clean project, and inside this new project in your game, you could set it for the standard, or you could set it for the universal pipeline, or you could just start off building in whichever one you want. I mean, it really doesn't matter. I started off with the universal rendering pipeline, and to get that going, all you need to do is go to your Unity hub, which is where is that? Right here. And then you're going to create a new project. I created a 2019.3. I just made sure I selected Universal Project Template, and I created my file and basically hit start. That's as far as I went. Hello, everybody. Welcome and good morning. And, let's just start by importing a brand new project. Then I'm going to go to my... I'm going to go online and I'm going to go get Filebase. So GameDevHQ.com, and we're going to log on over to the Filebase tab. And in this Filebase tab, you want to download. You could use URP. You could use standard. You could use lightweight rendering pipeline. You don't want to use the high definition. That is basically what I'm saying. But you could choose between the three you want. I don't believe there's any differences in any of them at this point, because you're just importing in your assets. So just go ahead and hit the download button, and you're going to download the Filebase tab or Filebase into your project. Filebase into your downloads. So you're going to get this Unity package. Mine is 3.1.1. I'm going to go ahead and take this, drag this down over here, and it's going to ask if I can import the Filebase assets. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK, logging it in. Good morning, Thiago. Good morning, Jason. Welcome, everybody who's tuning in. I know it's Friday, but thank you for tuning in on your Friday afternoon. So if I go to Windows and go to Filebase, now my Filebase should open up. And, I have a whole bunch of stuff in here. I added a plugin. Now, this plugin I found on GitHub back in like 2016, something like that. And I went back to try to find the guy who created it so I can make sure I give him credit for it. I can't find it anywhere. So if you guys know who made it, GitHub is such a big depository for scripts that just disappear overnight. So, excuse me, allergies. But this should be set to free. There's no shield on it. We're not going to make any money off that. So go ahead and log in and grab your asset and hit download. And let me know if this works for you guys. It should work. And we'll import that in. And now inside of my project, I should have this transparent background script. And all it is a C# script. It's not a very long script, maybe a page and a half, but it works really well. This is what I use to make all of my thumbnails that you see here. So when I go to, let's say, any of my assets, like let's say this sci-fi chair, this is what I'll use to make my thumbnail. So I'm going to go start up a brand new scene. And I created a brand new scene called 2D level. It's completely empty. And then in here, I'm going to go open up Filebase, and I want to import an asset. Let's get this thing started and started right. So what asset should we import? Let's take a look. I'm going to click View More. And, I mean, we could do sci-fi, we could do nature, we could do whatever we want. I'm going to choose this sci-fi test tube for right now. This is an easy one. So I'm going to import that in. Boom, I'm done. And I'm going to hit locate, and I have my test tube here. I could take my test tube, and you notice it's pink because I'm using the URP. So I just go to Edit, Render Pipeline, Universal Pipeline, Upgrade Project, Materials to URP. That takes like 2 seconds to do. And then, let's see, the materials are upgraded. Now my color is back to normal. All right. It's dark right now because I've actually turned off my my auto generate. So I'll turn on my auto generate, and now, you know, there's my item in my scene. So when you press the play button with this plugin, it's going to record exactly what you see. Notice the let's see. Notice the what you call it, angle, the focal length of the camera. I could adjust my focal length. Oh, and you'll only see it in game. Where's my camera? Why aren't you showing up down here? I could adjust the focal length, a tighter focal length. And this isn't like is this a physical camera? Ah, there we go. Ah, okay. Well, even that is a little weird. Usually, oh, there we go. Okay. Here's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at focal length down here. I'm sorry. Okay. So basically, when you go buy a camera at a camera store, you get lens types. And I'll make this real quick. You get lenses for cameras. And inside the lenses for cameras, you get a whole bunch of different types. And there's these millimeters that are attached to it. Millimeters kind of help you determine what kind of game, or I'm sorry, what kind of angle you're going to use. So a wide angle is something that you use when you want to get like the entire room, and so it's a really wide lens. So a good wide lens, some of the best ones I've seen are like 22 millimeters. It's one of those cameras where if I turn on the gizmos, you know, the smaller you get. That's the field of view. I'm sorry. If you go to like a 22 millimeter, you notice how your angle gets super wide, which means I can get really up close, but you see the distortion on the game object right here, right? You get the angles here and here and here. Then you could go to this point over here and adjust this to, let's say, an 80 millimeter. You're going to get a far flatter. So you got to kind of decide on your 2D, how do you want to set it up? So let me just do this. So what we could do then is decide, are we going to make this completely 2D flat? Let's just say, for instance, we do. We can actually change this to kind of an orthographic view. And we could adjust our size of our game object in the 2D view to be whatever we want. So, you know, we can make this larger or smaller. Right now I have this set to the center, but you guys decide what you want to do. You could also change your resolution on how you want this to be rendered. So do you want it a fixed resolution, or do you want it an aspect ratio? It's really up to you. It's completely dependent. So let's say in this instance, I wanted a 2x2, and I hit OK. It's going to create a square, and that's going to be my render right there. And then I need to make sure that I, of course, place my camera to where it would be in the very best position possible to render out these particular assets. Now, keep in mind, when you do render these out, they're going to come in as this PNG. And in fact, let me go ahead and click on the background of this camera. And instead of skybox, I'll use a solid color so you can actually see this. Imagine if this was the PNG box that you had, this blue area. It's going to float. So you need to determine, are you going to have this asset sit, let's say at 0, 0, 0. And if you are, you should probably move your camera up to the point where you know your asset's going to touch the floor. And that way, that edge can be right where you need it to be, right here. So when you do save this out, you could have a whole bunch of assets that you don't have to manually manipulate over and over and over again. On top of that, because we have this in 3D, we can add some additional information that will, make our image a lot better. So, go to your game object, go to lights, and we can go to either point lights or directional lights. It's really your choice, but understand that you're going to want to be consistent with your lighting throughout all of these 2D assets. You don't want to just start manipulating them too much. Otherwise, it could cause some real issues with consistency in your 2D game. So if I were to place, let's say, this light right here, I can do a mixed, now I got some specularity that I want to add, or I could set this as a spotlight or whatever, and you can make this however it is you want to work with. Okay, so we saved this, we got this done, and inside of my folder structure, I'm just going to right click and do a show and explorer. So inside of my level, I have a video or a file path that goes to this particular asset. Let's see where this asset is located. So GameDevHQ, Filebase, environments, sci-fi, 3D materials, tile map toot. That's where I want to go. So let's see. Gosh, I wish I was better at this. So tile map toot. This is where my project is saved. And this is where the base assets are. Okay, so we're going to be going back to this a lot. Inside of our main camera, you go ahead and select this main camera. And that plugin that I told you to download, grab it and drop it in here. Now, it's going to create a folder base name. And it's going to name this the folder screenshots. And then there's going to be a frame rate and frames to capture. So, just kind of a rough reference, because I talked about cameras before. You have your lenses, but you also have to take into account frame rates. So how many frames per second? Now, for single objects, of course, you're going to want to do 1 frame per second, and we only want to capture frames to capture 1 frame. So if we hit play at this point, it's going to record 24 frames. So a second's worth of animation. And a little, depending on if it's like a 30 frames per second or 24 frames, but in essence, a second, and it's only going to record 24 of them. So this is the frame rate. So if I play back my animation and it's going at normal speed, it's going to capture a normal 1 second. Let's say I were to play back this animation at 10 frames a second. You're going to get kind of a choppiness to the animation. In this instance, I only want 1. So I'm going to set these to 1 frame and 1 frame to capture. Okay, and then I'm going to, and in the script, I believe it says, we choose the camera, we set the camera's clear flags to solid. So in here, in our camera, we want to go to a solid color. We want to make sure our alpha is set to 0, right? And then I think that's pretty much all it is. We can maximize to play, and it's going to print out an image of that. Or if you set it to this, it's going to print out an image to this size. I'm just going to go ahead and hit play. And once I do, you see it's going to create a folder called screenshot. And I can unclick that, and I don't have to worry. In here, now I have a PNG of that one screenshot. So I could take this in to Photoshop, and let's take a look at what we have. There you go. Now it's a PNG saved as a image. Now this thing is large, 713 by 713. Now if you're going to work in the realm of game assets, you always want to build assets as a power of 2. So you want to build squares, you want to build rectangles, you want to, but if even your rectangles you want to set to a power of 2, and you want to set those inside of a sheet that would be a power of 2. So what do I mean by power of 2? 2 by 2, a 4 by 4, 16 by 16, 32 by 32, 8-bit, you know, that's kind of where they're going. So, in this, I would set this to an image size for this asset that I would hope would be the max size. I'm going to end up putting these all together into one giant spreadsheet. So I can just, you know, make this, I don't know, a 256. And now this image is a 256 by 256 bit PNG. So it's got the alpha channel and it's got the image on there. Perfect. Now I could take this over and start saving this in a repository in essence. So, you know, I go to, let's say, my E drive, and I'm going to create a brand new folder. Where's the create folder? I'm so used to Mac. Let's see, saved, what was it? Sprite sheets. Saved sprites. Let's just call it save sprites. And I can call this test tube. And save it in there. All right, that's the first asset that I have in my game. We didn't have to draw anything. We didn't have to manipulate anything. We didn't have to sit down and start doodling. Literally, I could just go in and grab assets all day long. So, you know, let's grab a couple more. Let's window, Filebase. I have, what else is there? Let's just grab a couple, which would be kind of fun. Let's assume this is going to be some sort of sci-fi environment or whatnot. I have these terminal screens. How long would these terminal screens have taken me to build? By hand, by drawing them. You know, now we're going to get it done in about 3 seconds. And I have this sci-fi desk. That would have been a pain in the ass to create. We're going to do that real quick. And then, you know, I'm just actually going to search sci-fi. Hey Michael, how's it going? Yes, the plugin, I will show it in just a second where the location is. Oh, come on. Okay, sci-fi. Here's all the sci-fi assets. What do I want to put in here? And we could put in walls. Yeah, we could probably put in some walls and corridors and stuff like that. Hit download. And import. I got those 4 things, so we'll record screenshots of those. Michael, the asset that we're talking about is called transparent background. Right here in Filebase. It's one of the first ones in there. If you can't find it there, then you just have to go to the all assets and inside of extensions. Oops. I have sci-fi listed up here. Where is this? Extensions. Oh, is that controls? Oh, I got to get that up there. Oh, weird. I don't know why that's not there. Let me make sure I fix that so that you guys can get access to this. But yes, transparent background. So if I type in plugin, transparent background is one of the first ones that show up. So just go ahead and download that. Okay. So I got these 4 assets into our scene. Okay, so now I'm going to go get my test2 or my terminal. I could drop this into my environment. Oh, I got to make sure I set this to render pipeline universal upgrade project materials to URP. Okay, then on here I can go ahead and grab my asset. I'm going to rotate this around, and then I'll scale this up. It doesn't matter the size because these are all coming out as images. So I want to kind of scale it up, get the most pixel for my buck. I'm probably going to want this up near the top since it's going to be hanging from the roof wherever I use it. So that's I do that. I hit play, and it's going to save as well. So then I go to my folder, which is in here, and in my tile map toots, I got another image, and that's set for a PNG. So then I can drop this in and bring that into Photoshop, and then adjust the size down to what? Let's say what did I have? 256. I don't know. I'm just guessing right now. Save it as a 256 image, and I can even save this into a directory that I like to use if I were to start creating one. Saved sprites, and this would be what is it called? Was dual monitors, and hit OK. And then once that's done, I can go back and let's just do a couple more, you know. And while I do these last 2, then if you guys still have questions, just let me know, and I'll try my best to answer them. So I'll move this up, I'll rotate this around, and it doesn't have to be perfect, you know. I mean, I could rotate this at an angle, set this to, you know, yay big. Now, I am using a parallax view. If you choose to do something different, you totally can. Just understand that you want to make sure you lock your camera into position because you don't want a whole bunch of different angles occurring. I'm going to go ahead and hit play for this, and I recorded that one. I'm going to get the next sci-fi desk, or next sci-fi element, these corridor walls. We want walls. And this is great because now I don't actually have to build a sprite for every single wall. I could just, you know, zap this up and do whatever I want. Now, for these corridor walls, it might be a good idea to bring all 3 in at the same time, because you're not quite sure how these things are going to scale together. So let's see. See if I could blow this up. So that's the full size right there. So let's take corridor 1 into, let's see what we got here. Corner wall 3. I don't even know this is a corner because it's 2D, and that's why I'm not crazy about 2D. But I do have this bigger wall asset, right? And that one is like stretching right across. I could, you know, maybe fill this in like that. And here's my wall asset. And if I want this light, I can have it. If not, I could turn off this light, and boom, we're done. So I go ahead and press play. And here's a wall asset. I don't know, corner wall 1, sci-fi corridor wall. I think this thing is the same thing. Yeah, it's just like half the size. So, yeah, if you wanted to, you could shrink this down. Or you could do it manually inside of whatever art program you have. Like I use Photoshop. All right, hit that, boom, 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 we're done. Okay, so if we go back to our folder again, in our tile map toot, you see we got our computer here. So we want to make sure this is set to 256 because I'm trying to keep everything the same. I will save this as a PNG in my saved sprites, and I'll call this computer terminal. And then I'll go to my my downloads again. I'll go to number 4, and I'll just bring this wall in and drop this in. All right, and then I'll save this as a main wall. And, whatever. Just have fun with this, all right? Now, okay, here's where you want to be efficient. The worst thing you could do is bring each one of these PNGs in separately. It's awful for performance because it gets extremely heavy on your game. What you want to do is put these all onto one gigantic sheet. So let's say it's a Power 2 sheet, a 1024 by 1024 or something like that, right? And you want to separate it up into different sprite sheets inside of Unity. So then, instead of having, let's say 10 or 15 small textures, now you got one texture that Unity could cycle through and index each segment and place that on. There's no additional load. It just loads one texture at a time. Boom. Now, I have seen this happen in real time. I've gone into like a 2D game, and I've texture mapped and texture sprited and sliced up an atlas. Yes, exactly. A gigantic sprite sheet versus a whole bunch of different sprites, and the performance was astronomically different. Like same assets, same texture size, and it was like 15 frames a second. I atlased it together, and I jumped up to like 120, 130 frames per second. It's pretty incredible. Oh, does that thing show? I thought I replaced that PNG. Maybe I'm wrong. But the whole thing changes drastically quickly. So you want to put these into a sprite sheet. So start off with a new sprite sheet. You want to pick a Power 2. So I think in older versions of Unity, there was like a cap that you couldn't go past 2K, but this is like back in like the iPhone 5, iPhone 4 era. I don't know if it's the same anymore. I don't know if you can go past it anymore. But I'm just going to do a 2048 by 2048, and I'm going to set this to transparent and hit create. Now you are free to use whatever 3D program or a 2D program you want. You can use GIMP, you can use Photoshop. It's whatever you want to do. Now the next thing I do is I'll actually go into this area, and there's a slice tool. Where are you, slice tool? I have used you before. Where's that freaking knife? I don't see it. They keep moving things around all the time, and it drives me nuts. Slice, slice, slice. There's a razor blade. Razor, razor, razor. Where are you? Oh, come on. You're somewhere. Slice, slice, slice. You're in here somewhere. Isn't it a crop? There you go. Okay, slice tool. Goodness. All right. So take the slice tool, and I select this entire area. I know this is a 2048. So if I were to segment this into 8s, these should be 256 slices, right? So I could right-click, and I could do a divide slice, and I could divide horizontally and vertically into 8 segments, right? And there's kind of like my slice path right there. Then I can go in to wherever I saved my assets. So let's say tile. Did I save it in tile? I didn't save it here. I saved it using which one? No. E drive, saved sprites. There we go. Oh, I didn't save enough anyway. I gotta get some more. But I could take this and all right, test tube 01. I could drop test tube right up there. And then I can go to my test tube 02, wherever this is, and I could drop this up here, and you could see how we could start filling out this entire sprite sheet basically with assets over and over and over again, and just build up an entire sprite sheet based on all these different things. Okay, so I'm just gonna, let's see, grab if I can get, sorry if I'm jumping around. I'm just gonna grab my main wall, and this would be kind of harder or more difficult to match up perfectly without actually scaling it properly. I don't really like doing that. I was hoping I could fake it, but I can't. So where are you? Right there. File. Oh, let's go to image, size. I want this to be 512. Let's just joke around here. 512. I'll save this. And then in here, I can and that's the 00. I could take this and I'll use this to occupy, 2 spots right here. And we can keep doing this over and over and over again. I'll just get this last one in since I already did that. I'm going to set this in here to Photoshop. But in this particular instance, I'm going to adjust my canvas. In pixels, it's 713 by 713. So first, let's adjust image size. We're going to adjust this to a 512, right? And that's going to reduce it exactly. Now I'm going to go to my image canvas size, and in my pixels, I'm going to set this to a 256. And it's going to say, are you sure you want to do this? Yes, of course I am. Oops, I selected the wrong one. No, I'm not. I want to adjust the width. So 256. Okay, and then if I hold the Command T, I can scale up. Oh, it's snapping more proportionally. That's a new thing that Command T does that I don't like. Scale. Oh, how do I turn off this dang locking mechanism? Where is that? There it is. Okay. I don't want to adjust the height proportionally. Oh my gosh. Did they really change that? I am not happy. Paul asks, is there a reason we want to image font? Yes, it's a power 2. It all has to do with how computers, I guess, read images. But yeah, it has. If you're going to get the best performance, you're going to want to use a power 2 scale. So you want to use 8 by 8, 16 by 16, 256 by 256. It's important to do that. I mean, there's a reason behind it. I read it a long time ago, and now I couldn't possibly remember. But there's like documentation on why you need to do it this way. Let's see. Can I turn that off? Oh, come on. Why are you locking? I'm getting so annoyed. Brand new version of Photoshop, and they start taking things off. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Vlad, for the shift. Oh, that's annoying. Okay, so this is a 256 by 256. We'll save this out. Hello, Blender Geek. Welcome. And I'll call this, thin wall. And hit OK. And inside of our main wall area, we can go back to our screenshot. We grab thin wall, place it in, and you can see that it snaps in really nicely, and we're all, set. So you could fill out this entire sheet with sprites, and it'll be so easy to do. But another thing we could do, and I'm wondering if there's an easy way. that I could hide my view. I want to hide my slices. Show slices. Okay, so this is what this looks like without the slices. This is a 256 by 256. Imagine you're in a situation where you're like, all right, well, I got these in, but I want these to look 8-bit. I don't want them to look this way, or I want to adjust the style. You could adjust this now in Photoshop, right? So what I would do is this. Get some more of that good old coffee in me. Get me wake up. You can, of course, you do your adjustment layers. But what I could also do is, if I wanted to, I could save this out as something else, just like as a reference. So let me save this as in E drive under saved sprites. I'll call this Photoshop document a original sprite sheet, and hit OK. Then I can go into here, and let's say I want to make this more 8-bit or 16-bit. That's actually, I wouldn't even use the filters. The filters don't even do a very good job. I would do this. Go to image size and adjust this down. So let's say I want to do, like a 16-bit. Let's see. I don't think 16 pixels is going to be enough for something this size, but let's do 256, and let's shrink this down. Now go back to your image size and bring it back up. But instead of, right now, the resample would be set to automatic. Set this to nearest neighbor hard edges. So 2048, hit OK. And let's take a look and see if we got any good distortion. So at 100%, I can zoom in. And you can see there is some distortion. The caution sign has changed a little bit, but it's not as extreme as I would like. So let's do undo and undo. I'm going to undo this image size and undo the image size. So I'm going to go back to image size again. Instead of 256, let's go 64 by 64. Let's see what this gives us. And then I'm going to take this image and I'm going to increase this image to 256 or 2048 again. And let's take a look at that. Getting some more distortion. Let's see. Again, not what I want. Let's do 16 by 16. Okay. And then image size 2048. Now I think, oh yeah, we're gonna get some real blockiness here. This should look like poo. Oh, it's not. Why aren't you looking like poo? Oh, that's why. I got it. All right, I'm a dummy. I didn't rasterize these. So you got to select these, right click, and hit rasterize layer. Now the textures are no longer smart objects, but they're editable. So let's do that image size again. But I will set this to 256 by 256. And then I'll increase this back up. Image size, we want hard edges to 2048. And now our stuff is starting to look pixelated. And and now here's the beauty is, okay, let's say you build this set and you don't like it. This doesn't look good. I want this sharper. Undo it. Go to image size again. And then let's go to let's try 512. And then increase that back up to 2048. Okay, this is Alan. Yeah, why don't you look like poo? This is your kind of bitmap type of stuff like that. And then you could do some adjustments, and here's the beauty is adjustment layers you can copy over and over again. So, if I wanted filters or anything like that, I could start doing these adjustments, like we could adjust the hue and saturation. I always go to this. It's one of my favorite things to do. I could really, bump up the colors, adjust the hue tints. I could adjust the brightness or the darkness of the entire environment. Whatever. Have fun with this. But this is how you could create that sprite sheet. So what do? You go to File, Save As, and now we want to save this as a PNG. So I'm going to save this as a PNG inside of my Save Sprites, and I'll call this 512. I shouldn't call it like that. Sprite 01. And I filled this thing up with hundreds and hundreds of assets, and this is what I want in Unity. And then you could take that over to your Unity scene, and inside of here, we'll go ahead and grab our E drive inside sprite sheets, save sprites. Okay, I have my sprite sheet 01. Drop this into here, and inside of here we have a option. We want to set this to sprite, and we want to set this to multiple, and hit apply. And now this is going to turn into a sprite sheet with an alpha channel, right? And then you can go into your sprite editor. No sprite editor window registered. Please download 2D sprite package from. Okay. All right. Please download 2D sprite package. Okay. Is that what it's called? 2D sprite. Is this it right here? Sprite editor. 2D sprite package. 2D sprite. Okay. I will import you. I don't know why they took that out. Boom. Done. Okay. Now do you work? Yes, you work. Okay. So here's our sprite package manager. Then I can go to a slice, and let's see if it does it automatically. I'm curious. Let's see. Oh, it does, but it's not. Yeah, see, it's not the smartest tool. It's a tool, but it's not the smart one. You see how it just does the sprite around the alpha channel, does this, is grouped this together with that. Not exactly what we want. So let's see. I'm going to delete these existing sprites. And we can also go to slice, and you could set this to grid by count, and we did 8 by 8, right? Yes. And now this is a slice, this is a slice, this is a slice. This one is a 4 piece, so I'm going to delete these 4, and I'll set this to 512 by 512. Come on. 512 by 512. 512. Oh, is that why? Let's bring you down. 512. There we go. And then I could take this one, move this down, and this is 512. Okay, you got those into here. There's a couple down here that shouldn't even exist, whatever, and then hit apply. Once you've done that, if you go into your sprites, wherever this thing is, where did I put this? Okay. Yay. We have our sprite sheets. And you can see I can look at each individual sprite now in my game, and I could start applying these into my 2D game. And And oh, that gets into a whole new realm of like tile map and all this other stuff. But if I were to just create a plane, 3D object, plane, rotate, place, and I should be able to just drop, where is this? I forgot. Is it that? Plane. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Oh, look at that. You could just drop the sprites in here. And there we go. Okay, so I could just grab a whole bunch of these. Drop them in. Cancel. Just work with me. Oh my god, you're going to be a pain. Okay. But you get the idea. So I have my terminal desk. I could build my 2D game, start plopping it in, and, you know, look how much work you actually had to do to build all this stuff in Unity. So, you know, I got my wall. I want to set this to the back. Oh, there you go. Duplicate. Duplicate. And ta-da! Yay! So that's an easy way to show you how to use this little plugin to start building these sprite sheets. But that's not the only thing I got to show you today. This is like 50% of it, but the other 50% I got to show you as well. Real quick, in tile map, and truthfully, I haven't touched tile map since like mid 2018. In here, let's say you're working on this, you love this, but I know the new version of Unity has like a normal channel thing. If you needed to generate a normal channel though, you still can on all this. All you have to do is like merge these layers together, if I'm not mistaken. Then you go to 3D or filter, 3D, generate a normal map. And it will actually generate a normal map for you. So, let's see what it looks like. There you go. And hit OK. And your normal map is generated. So, you can apply that to your 2D assets as well. So now that your 2D assets look kind of 3D, which is kind of neat. So that's kind of part A of what we're doing. But you could see how you could use part A to actually start generating some amazing looking 2D games, filling it with thousands and thousands of assets, depending on what style you want or whatnot. And the best part is they're all consistent. They have the same like 8-bit treatment. You know, the lighting is going to be the same. Everything's going to be the same uniformly. And if you want to, you can go into your Photoshop document and then, you know, edit and adjust the color or the style or whatnot. Save that PNG, replace this current PNG with the new one, and it will accept the alterations to it. So, gives you a lot of freedom. Now, let's go ahead and delete this. I know we did so much work. And let's talk about characters, because that's the other issue, is the characters. How do we get those working? Let's see, Wolf said, so Al, in this, would it be optimal to build a 3D scene environment out of plans using this and using a 2D sprite to generate to cut down? No. If you're going to go 2D, just go 2D all the way. And if you're going to build a level, build it in tile map. In 2D. Yeah, I wouldn't even bother building a 3D. I would only use this to build the assets that you would want to use in 3D. So like a platform. Instead of drawing a platform, create a platform in 3D, print it out basically using this, and then put it on a sprite sheet and then build it out in your game, or a doorway, or a light structure, or whatnot. You know, use Filebase as like your depository of assets, so you don't actually have to sit there and draw pixels all day long, which That's where the artist gets worn out, is these consistent redrawing of frames. It's brutal. It sounds fun at first, but it's just awful, awful, awful. So let's see, subtitle. Yeah, the closed captions will come in the recording if I'm not mistaken. So let's talk characters real quick, because characters can be a pain. In here, yeah. Exactly. And again, if it doesn't work, change the PNG, and you're done. You don't. You're not committed to anything that you don't want to do. So let's say I go over to do a character, and I'm gonna pick on Man 20 today, and I'm gonna go ahead and download him. So, I'm gonna drop him into my scene and hit import. All right, let's locate. I'm going to go ahead and grab my prefab, drop him in. I'm going to go to edit, render pipeline, universal, upgrade, project materials. Yeah. So the hair shaders. Okay, let's talk about hair shaders. Hair shaders, boy, they are. There's no easy hair shader in Unity, unfortunately. So we kind of just have to make do with what we got. We have there's like this Genesis one that we found that was good, that was free, but the hair shaders, you guys are going to probably want to invest in a good one. There's a whole bunch on the asset store. I don't know how to program a hair shader. But we do have a hair shader for the regular standard pipeline. I got to spend some time looking into how to do a hair shader for URP, because it's URP and for what you call it, high definition render pipeline. It's kind of tough. Okay, so I'm going to change down. I don't want to adjust my character size. I just want to change down the size of my camera, so that I can get him into a decent position. And what I want to do is, okay, so we got this side scroller. I'm not using myself. I know I'm gonna pick on somebody else today. So I'm gonna abuse this character right here. And what I'm going to do, I wish this hair shader didn't look like poop so bad. There's got to be a good URP. Would Speed Tree 8 look decent? Yes, two-sided. Does it take normal maps? Okay, that's better than what it was. I'll bring this color down a little bit. And yeah, I mean, that's better than what it was, but boy. There we go. So now it looks like a giant blob on his head. Okay, the hardest part about building characters is, of course, animating step by step. You want to do this character running across a scene. It's a pain in the butt, and you got to get it perfect and yada yada yada. It's awful. So how do we cheat this? How do we make this easier? We use 3D to fake a 2D look. So let's say I'm going to use this camera, and I'm going to give this character a little bit of space. You may want to run a couple animations through here, or even all your animations, and then set them at the same size, so they're all going to be perfect and all going to be the same. And we're going to go to Mixamo. All right, so let me make sure I log in. Continue. Whatever. Whatever. Okay. So we go to our characters. I always I like consistency. I think consistency is important. Let's be consistent. I always get the Ybot character. You can see what I am currently working on. It's pretty badass. I'm not even close to finished yet, but the physics are amazing. Let's just leave it at that. So, I'm going to use the Y character. And in here, I want to add a few animations. So let's do run. I got to learn how to spell run. Okay, so let's see how this guy looks. Okay, click on the in place, and let's look at this from the side. Okay, that looks like a good run cycle right there, right? All right, so hit download. And download it with the skin, download it with everything. And I can't wait to see we need a toot on that. Come on, Al, get that toot out. And then we got an idle. And let's see, what's a good idle? Let's just do this one right here. Okay, so hit download. Boom, you're done. Okay, so we got these two FBX sequences. If you want to use a different animation program, go use a different animation program. You want to do it by hand, you can do it by hand. It's no big deal. Whatever you choose to do. I'm not here to judge. Okay, so I got these two. So when is she going into Filebase? When her physics react properly, that's when she's going to go in. Right now, I'm going to take these two and I'm going to drop these into this scene. All right. Okay. Thank you, Unity, for working with me. Come on now. Import. Okay, I'm going to create a new folder just to kind of keep this clean. I want running animations. Okay, I'm going to drop in idle and running into here. Now, our character is already pre-rigged. He's ready to go. He's ready to do his thing. In running animations, here's what you got to do. Is you got to make sure, and it should be good. Oh, we got to set our man to humanoid and hit apply. Now he's ready to run. Okay. Now, in this area, we also need to set the humanoids, these humanoids, the idle and the running, to humanoid. You want these all to be consistent. Then I can go in and I'm just going to go ahead and grab the idle. So right here, there's this Mixamo. I'm going to just grab this and duplicate this. And it should turn into this. When you do that, it looks right. And once you get that, I'm going to call this idle. Okay. So again, one more time. We'll do this twice. So I go into my running animation. You got to make sure you set this to humanoid. Select the mixamo.com, duplicate it, and call this, whatever this is supposed to be. So running. Now, why do you do that? Very simple. This animation that's embedded in here, you see this right here? It's read only. You can't make any adjustments to it. But if you duplicate the animation, now it's no longer read only. I can start deleting keyframes or adjusting keyframes or spacing or whatever not to it, if I wanted to. But it gives you a lot more freedom. Okay. So I go to my man 20 and he doesn't have a controller. I'm going to just drop the idle animation onto him and his idle will set him to looking like this. And if I play it over and over again, that's his animation. Okay. So once that's done, I just want to make sure that I line my camera up maybe a little better. Let me get a little closer to my camera because I'm getting big jumps in my float value. So I'll select my man. I'll press play. It's kind of close, but let's see. Camera. Let's go down a little lower. And I mean, you could also set this to where you actually adjust the collider. So if you don't want to get it perfect on the ground, it's no big deal as well. But see, now we're not getting that cutoff here, which is good. That's what we don't want. Okay. And I'm curious in idle if I turned off like bake into position, do all this other stuff. Will that adjust? No, it didn't. Yeah. It's just, it is what it is. It is what it is, my friends. Okay, so we got our character kind of looking like this. He doesn't have to be this direction, though, the whole time. You know, I could take him, and let's say I want my idle to be more like this. You know, rotate him a little more. So he's got this position when he's in idle. All right, this is the sequence I want to capture out. Right now, it's capturing... what is this? 128. So we go, what are we? So we're almost at 2 minutes. So that's 60 frames, assuming, right? Yeah. Oh, no. 15. Yeah, 120 frames is what this whole sequence is, right? Okay. So I can go to my main camera. And I could say, all right, I want to capture my frame rate is how many frames per second. So do I want 30 frames per second, or do I want, let's say, 12 frames per second? Let's play with 12. And how many frames do I want to capture? I want to capture 24 frames, which means I'm going to capture 2 seconds worth of frames. So once that's done, I'm going to hit save and hit play. And it's just going to kind of do its thing. And it's capturing one frame after another, after another, after another. And once it's finished, it's over. And I can go to my E drive and go down to, where is this? Tile map tut. Yes, Kyle, this will be available. And I can go to screenshot 5. Check it out. All right. So we have a sprite sheet sequence now. 2, 3, and we could play this back as an animation, which is pretty freaking sweet. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That didn't capture all the frames I wanted, but you know, well, let's give this a whirl. Now, how do you assemble... actually, let's go ahead and... I don't know why. Maybe I stopped it too soon? Oh, here, let me try this. Because I feel like that was really fast. I'm going to set my animation to loop. And let's try this again. Because it should have captured 24 frames, if I'm not mistaken. Unless my math is off completely. But let's take a look. Tile map toot. Nope, my numbers are off. Let's see. 24 frames a second. Frame sketcher. Let's do 48 frames. Actually, 24 and 24. Let's just test that out. Let's see. So it sequenced it out and having to drag the slider and do every frame like making this. Oh, God, no. No. That's exactly what I'm going to show you guys not to do. No, what I'm running into right now is I'm not capturing enough frames. So I'm messing around with some of these numbers. I think this is going to be more what I need. Okay, let's see. I think 8. Okay, that 8 grabbed a lot more of these frames that I wanted. Okay. I got to get the math down on this a little bit better. Let me see something. If I did 12 frame rate, let's play this out. And you'll have to do some testing on your end. But the beautiful part is guess what? You guys didn't have to draw any of it. That's kind of nice. Okay. So we created a sprite sheet. Okay, so what Wolf Graphics just mentioned is that we would have to sequence it out. Oh, hell no. Come on, guys. I don't want you wasting your life doing that. That sounds awful. That sounds like a lot of work for very little payoff. So, how do we fix this? How do we adjust this? We're going to use... You got two options. You could use a program that will allow you to do it automatically. Or, and you could buy it. Or you could use the free version. So, I'm imagining 85% of you guys will not use the program. You'll use the free version. So I'm going to show you the free one because I know that's the one you're going to want to use. All right. So go on to Google and let me make sure I find the correct link for you. Because I had it open not too long ago. Where was it? Give me one sec. Okay, transparent. What is it called? Oh, yeah. I got it bookmarked. 3D stuff. Where'd you go? Unity. Ah, there it is. Okay. Okay, we're going to go to codeandweb.com. If you go to codeandweb.com, there's this product called Texture Packer, which is the program that I use to pack all my textures down. And it's really easy to use, and it's not very expensive. I think it's like $60 to get, which if $60 is a lot, boy, it makes our pro membership look really valuable. But they also offer this really cool thing, which I don't even see advertised on their site. I think it's kind of like a hidden thing. If you go type in free sprite sheet packer, we get a free sprite sheet packer that is online. And this is what we could use to pack our sprites. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add Sprites. And again, here's the link. Let me copy this real quick. Code and Web, and I'll paste this into our chat so you guys can just click on that and go right over to it. Go ahead and click Add Sprites. And inside of here, I go down to wherever my sprite sheet list was. My E drive, whatever. And I go to... what is that? It's Telemap Toot. And I go to, let's say, number 9. And I'm going to grab all of these and hit open. It's going to run and do its thing. Okay. Now, you want to make sure you delete these sprites right here. The ones that they built in. Now, this one, I want to know, I don't know if this is going to bring it in order or not. I just don't know. But let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 4 down. Okay, so hit PNG, and we'll go to Show in Folder, and here is the sprite sheet. Now, I love the program version because there's so much more to it. You can decide how big you want this to be. So you want this to be like 16 by 16. what order do you want it to go in? Do you want it square or do you want it packed tightly? There's so many interesting things that you could do with this full version of the Sprite Packer. This is the free version again. You only get what you get. I am just hoping that this is coming in sequence. I don't know if it is. I can't tell if it is. But I do have the PNG now. So I can go to show in folder, and I have this. I'm going to go back to Unity. And inside of Unity, I'm going to go drop in my sprite sheet. Now I got to go back to my default and set it to sprite. And then I set this to multiple because I can't slice this up in the sprite editor if it's set to single. So I go back to multiple, and then I go to sprite editor and hit apply. Okay, come on. Okay, so that brings in my sprites. Now I can go to cell by count. It's a 5 by 5. I'll slice it and hit apply. And now my whole sequence should be spliced up, right? So then I can go, and I'm just going to hide my man for a quick second. I go in and I grab sprite sheet 01, which is this one right here. And, you know, we do the same normals trick that we want to do with it as well if we wanted to. But it's not set to be an animation. This is set to be just static. So what I want to do is I want to create a animation for this. So I go to animation, and in here I call this sprite idle, right? And I'll select my sprite sheet and drop this in as sprite idle. And in here, what I should be able to do is grab all of these and drop these in. All right, there we go. And I can go back to my main camera, and I could adjust, you know, my size. And I'll bring this down to like right here. And I'll click on my sprite and hit play. And it's going super fast, it's super jiggly. But if I change the, where, I think this is set to like 60 at first. Set this down to like 5. Now that's the FPS. Where is that FPS counter? Is it over here? Where'd you go? Frames per second. Show sample rate. There we go. I could set this down to like 10 or something like that. And yes, it is jiggled. It doesn't come in perfectly, so you gotta try to set this up perfectly. I don't know this free one very well. Again, maybe there's a setting in here to where we could set this to a different order. I'm not sure. I don't even know what half this stuff does. But that's what the free one does. Let's see, and I don't know if it says anything about adjusting the settings in the order of all this other stuff. Now, for the paid one, you can go on to Texture Packer, and you could download this particular asset, and it comes up as a program. Yeah, it does look like he's having a seizure. Again, that's kind of why you want to pay for these things. So with the Texture Packer, and well, we'll leave this free one over here so I could see. I'll make sure I call this free. But with the Texture Packer, what I can do is go to my sequence that we did before, and I'll go to, where is it? Tile map toot. I'll select all these, drop these into scene, and you know, this gives me a lot of options on what I want to do with this. So, I could set this to say I want this to be the basic. I don't want to pack this. Where is this power? Oh, the forced square. Oh, let me select these all. Fixed size is, what did I save these as? 256. Let me zoom out of here. I want this, or 2048 is what I got. Four square. I want this to be, let's see, sorted by name. So now it's run in order. Where is the one where I don't allow the padding? Sort ascending. None. Okay. And let's see, I believe I could even scale these down to like 0.5. And now, you could pack these in together. Oh yeah, when I rendered these out, they weren't an exact sprite size that I wanted to. Yeah, it may be missing some key sprites. I'm not sure. Again, I haven't played too much with the free one, but if I were to take this one and export this out, I could do a publish the sprite sheet. And, or no, where do I do this? Texture file. I want to choose, where's the E drive? Saved sprites. File name is sprite sheet 02. Save that. And I believe you have to hit publish sprite. I gotta double check this. Again, it's been a long time since I've done this. Long time. Let's see. E drive. Saved sprites. Okay, it didn't save there. Where the heck did I do that? Sprite sheet settings. Ugh, gosh, why do I forget all this? PNG 32. Framework. Hit save. Alright, and that should have written out my sprite sheet 02. Then we could take that, drop this in here, and this is my sprite sheet 02. We set this to, what is this, sprite, multiple sprite editor, apply. I'd probably have to do some resizing. Yeah, I need to do this by cell size. And I forgot the size of each one of these cells. I did this all wrong, but don't hate me. Let's see. What is the size of each one of these? Image, size, 713. What's 713 divided by 2? Okay. 357. Okay. I should have altered the sizes before I did this, which would have been a smart thing to do. 357. So where is Unity? Where'd you go? Slice by size 357 by 357. Slice. It's not the appropriate way that you're supposed to do it. Hit apply. But this gives us sprite sheet slices 02, and I'm wondering. Yeah, I screwed up. Yeah, I'd have to redo them again. I have to resize every one of these to make this work. What a bummer. You guys want to stick around to see that? I don't know. But, yeah. I don't understand what this one did. Let's see. If I just play this back. He looks like he's jittering. Let's see. If we do an automatic slice, we can give that a shot. I haven't had very good success with automatic slices, but usually like he's jumping up and down everywhere because it's not centered on the middle of him. So let's say you have a character that's ducking. He'll actually float up as he's ducking in the animation. That's why I usually try to lock this in at a certain frame rate. Yeah, I think that looks probably even worse. But yeah, I think maybe we'd have to do a couple more renders to test this out. Let me try this free one more time. Cancel. Well, yeah, let's delete this. Delete this. And let's try this sprite sheet again. So what was that website again? It was copy link address, free sprite. Let's add the sprites. I did one for shot 8 that had more sprites to it, 46 of them. Let's see if that's smoother. Yeah, I think even now it's coming in out of order. So let's see if I can get these to just a list. You see, yeah, like I'm looking at this order. Starting off, it's coming in at 46, then 0. I wonder why this is coming in, let's see, out of order. I don't like that. If I were to do this, yeah, I don't understand that. That makes no sense. Let's see if it comes in out of order, though. Like, I feel like this is going to just take some fidgeting around to see if this works properly. Or if this doesn't even work at all. Maybe this was like, hey, this is how we can get you guys to buy our stuff. Let's download this. Show in folder. Let's take a look at this sprite sheet. Is this the same one? Oh, did I? Damn it. Add sprites. Yes. This one to 46, open. Alright. So it should have a lot in here. Let's see. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not correct. Clear. Let's test this out. If I go over here, let's turn on our man. Let's zoom in. And then let's set the main camera to do 24 and capture 48 frames. So that's 30 and 60. Let's just do 30 and 60 even. Hit play. Let's see if it records all of this. Okay, so that's done, and I'm going to go back to my sprite sheet. And 10, I can select all these and open. Let's see, you guys have already thought of ways to put this in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So I'm going to download this PNG. We'll test this out. We'll have a little fun with this. Download. Okay. And show in folder. Okay. And we'll just go ahead and grab Sprite 3. Drop this in. Set this as a 2D sprite with multiple. Go to sprite editor. Hit apply to all that other good stuff. Slice it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 5. So we're going to go cell count 6 by 5 and hit slice and apply. And that's all sliced and good. We're happy. I'm going to go to my sprite sheet. I'll drop the first one into my scene. Let's bring him down a little bit. I'll actually put him right next to our other guy because that's kind of cool. All right, I'll put him right here. I'll take my main camera. I'll move this over to the side. Let's zoom this back a little bit. And then we'll create a new animation. Animation. There we go. Idle. We will drop this into our sprite sheet. And then in here, let's just grab all these and drop them into here. Set this to like 15 and press play. Yeah. So there's a definite hiccup. It's certainly not loading it in the correct direction. But yeah, I don't know about that free one. It certainly it has potential, but it definitely is not playing in the correct sequence. Well, you know, we give it a shot. Oh, maybe it's the way we sliced it. I don't know. Maybe there's an option. Let's see if the sprite editor, the slice. I don't know if I could set the slice to go a different direction or not. I think it's going to go in one way regardless. So I think it's just a sprite editor. It may not be coming in the correct way. But that's why I generally go with the actual program itself. And I'm screwing up on the program because I didn't resize all these textures to be correctly. But you guys kind of get the idea of kind of what's going on. What I may do is create a quick tutorial once I get this all figured out to show exactly how to do the sprite sheet perfectly for the animation. But I hope this kind of gives sort of an idea of how it's supposed to work. Right now I'm just doing a piss-ass poor job of it, but regardless. What if you drop the frames per second to, let's say, 8? I don't know. Let's take a look. Let's test this out. Frame rates. If I hit play, it should only capture. Oh, it's actually capturing both. Look at that. That's funny. But in here, the tile map toot. 8, it did 58 shots, or not 58, it skipped every other shot. Is there a free trial for the program on their site instead of the online option? Yeah, there is. So it is. Why I don't know if it's a free trial. I'm not sure. In Texture Packer, I think you can download a free trial, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, quick question. Would this work for a top-down view of, let's say, like a 2D character? Yeah, all you need to do is just like reposition your camera. So, you know, let's take my camera here. But when you do reposition your camera, you got to keep in mind that you will always have to make sure all of your assets keep the same angle. So, you know, if you're looking to do like a top-down view, or maybe even if you do a top-down view, it's not a perfectly top-down view. It's something like, you know, this. You can adjust your character, you know, let's say you want him to walk sideways. So let's say this is your character right here. You'd want to, you know, have him animate like this from this perspective, save that style sheet, then do that perspective, that perspective, that perspective. And so when they press, you know, upright, top, left, whatnot, he's switching between these and you're getting the animations down. And then if you're dropping in, you know, objects into your scene, let's say I want that environmental, you know, I want these walls and stuff. You could drop that in and, you know, get your walls set up to be sprites as well. This, I think, is going to take a little more work. And what I don't know. It depends. Because if you're trying to go for like the Diablo look, I believe Diablo set theirs strictly to orthographic. And they set theirs at an angle. ISO, yeah. So many different ways. Let's see. I think they set theirs specifically like this, but their camera had no. It was set to orthographic, and then their sprite sheets, were set like at an angle. So like this would be, you know, their corner wall on their sprite sheet. You know, and let's set this to center. So, you know, it'd be something like this, but that, or, you know, if you're going to do a directly top down, you could totally do that as well. It may look a little flat when all your assets are like this, but I think it'll probably be a lot easier when you do put these into a sprite sheet to lay it out together. And then, you know, the other cool thing is now your desks, when you put them into scene, you know, they'll look good, but if you set them at an angle, it may even look better. You know, like that reminds me, I don't even know what game it was, like old school PC game type of look right there, you know? Or a sci-fi terminal. So this would be your overhead terminal. You know, just to have that sprite sheet in there. Things like that. I mean, that test tube looks fantastic already. And this is what, 5 assets. You know, you guys who are the Filebase users, you guys have been using it for a while. You know that there's so many assets in here that you could use to make an amazing looking 2D game. So, I mean, yeah, the options are completely limitless right here. And I'll look at I used to know exactly how to do the texture packer in the 4.0 version. This is the 5.0 version. It's a little different. It used to have this tab that I could hit to basic, and it didn't try to. Oh, maybe this is it right here. Let's see. Maybe this is it. I knew there was a basic tab somewhere. If I drop that in. Yeah, gosh, yeah, it's putting these together. Basic grid. Oh, I'd have to resize these as well. Which I'm wondering. Oh, I'd have to do an action in Adobe Photoshop to do that, to resize them all at one time. But oh, I could even show you how. Let's see. Should I do that? Would you guys like to learn how to do an automation in Photoshop to do these type of animations real easily? I don't know if you want to know how to do this. Because that could really help you guys. It took me a while to figure out how to make that work. If I took this over to Photoshop in here, boy, there's an actions tab. There's the actions window, actions. Okay, and you can actually create like a new way of recording something over and over again. So in actions, I create a folder and I call this like resize. Let's call this 256 because I'm going to make these all 256. And I select this. It's the recording button is on. I go to image. I go to image size. And I call this 256 and I hit OK. And then I do a file save. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and stop this. And now that's my resize right there, right? So this was 0.0. So I'm going to undo this and hit save again. So, you know, my 0.0 is exactly the same. Then I can go to File, Automate, Batch, and I can choose a folder. And inside this folder, I can choose, let's say, the sprite sheet sequence that I just wanted to do. What is this? Shot 10, I think, is the one I'm looking at. What is it? 9? Yes, I think 10. So I select shot 10, and I could say, use the action I just created. And once I do that, save and close, and I hit OK. And what it will do is it'll take each one of those up, and it will reset every single one with that same action. You can see how you get a lot of work done real quickly that way, right? So now, I think these are the 10s. If I go to Photoshop, let's double check this. Image size. They're all 256 now. All right. There we go. Now we're working. So now I can go to here, grab all these, drop these in here, and now I have a 256 by 256 grid. And then you can go to the advanced settings and say, you know, I want to make sure that these come in Where is that? Smooth, algorithm, multi-pack, trim mode. Let's see. I know there's one. I hope it comes in order. I don't even remember. Why did they split this out? Algorithm, basic, no, grids. Let's see. I can do power 2, forced square, fixed size, 1024 by 1024. Nope. I need a 2048 by 2048. So that's what it would come in as. And I believe, yeah, so it's jumping around 0 and 2. I don't know why it multi-packed 0 and 2. It shouldn't have. Oh boy. Gosh. Why am I not remembering this stuff? Let's see. Disable multi-pack. Oh, is it detecting duplicate sprites? Is that what it did? Okay. I think, let's see. 8, 10. Let me just go down. Okay, so it's got these in order. Okay, so then I can just publish my sprite sheet from here. So I make sure I select my texture file. Sprite 02 or 03. And then I do a publish sprite. And that should create sprite sheet 03. Sorry guys, I'm so rusty at this. Saved sprite sheets. There's sprite sheet 03. Then I should be able to take sprite sheet 03 into here. So sprite sheet 03. We will drop this in and place this here, and in here set this again back to sprite 2D, multiple, hit sprite editor, apply. We want to slice, we want to do cell count. What is the count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 by 8. So 8 by 8, slice it all together, hit apply. Let's see. Okay, cool. And then in sprite sheet 08, let me see. Yeah. So I'm just going to delete this stuff so I don't get confused, because that happens to me a lot. I'm going to drop sprite sheet here. I am going to set my camera back to 90. Let's bring our character in. I'm going to turn off my test tube. And then inside of my sprite sheet, I'm going to create a new anim, idle, and sprite sheet, drop this in. And inside my animation, oh, damn it, did I pull the wrong one in? Yeah. Let me get rid of both of these animations, because I don't want to get them confused. Idle, inspire it here. Drop this into my animation controller. Where is this? Oh, right there. Okay. Let's see. I need to see my animator. It's going to idle. It has no motion, so I want to drop my idle into that. So when I click on my sprite, I have idle. Let's grab these sprite sheets, drop them in, cross your fingers, 15, play. Boom. All right. I need a beer. Okay, so that's how you do it. Oh! Let's see. The question came in from Wolf. Why am I skipping each one? Okay, so for the one that I'm doing, which was like screenshot folder 8, I think I set it to like 30 frames per second, a maximum of 60 frames total, and it did some weird math, and it did every other frame. I think they may actually be reversed, so I mean we have to test this out, but that's why it came in. But if you wanted exactly like you want to record 30 frames, and you want 30 frames per second, and you want 30 frames 1-to-1, you would just set these even. But yes, so that would set you up with that. Now here's an interesting situation right here. You're not going to get a smooth loop unless you record the entire length of the animation. So just keep that in mind. When it records, it literally has to go from let's go. It has to record from 0 all the way to this last frame, because this is where the animation loops. And we didn't get all that. We only got part of it. Why is this looks so dirty? But we only got part of it, which is why it gets to this end part and then it cuts to here. It's because we only got part of the animation going to the end. So, yeah, that's why I use the paid version of Texture Packer Pro, and B, it's also why you may want to mess around with that system to make sure you get all the animation frames that you want. And also, an important thing to keep in mind, you're gonna want to be selective on the frames you pick. Because, okay, look at this texture packer right here. Okay, there are there's 8 across, 8, 16, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 frames. Do you see how I'm losing half of this sprite sheet right here? Losing half. It's a waste of half. Whereas if I were to clear up, how do I set this? 1024 right there. So, if I were to have made sure that my animation was clean, I could have, 16 by 16 or something. Then I could fill up my entire sprite sheet completely. So Unity is not loading in a massive bigger file. And even then, if you can get this to where it's like a 2048 by 1024, I know it's not a perfect power of 2. And, I think even here it tells you why you want a power of 2. But yeah, I mean, if you do at least a 2048 by 1024, I think Unity will be intelligent enough to split this up into 2 1024s and run it like that. So you want to keep count of your frames, and it's kind of like mixing it in and making it perfect. Now, once you do this, though, you want to lock your camera. So if you have a jump animation, you want to play back his jump animation to make sure that his head doesn't cut off screen. You don't want to adjust the camera at that point, because now you may cut off something else, so to speak. So it's just something to keep an eye out on as you're building this stuff. Okay, I think that covered how to take something from 3D into 2D, and I hope that kind of really kind of nailed that down for you guys, and how you could start building out an interesting looking game in 2D. So if you guys are curious, well, now that I know how to make 2D games using 3D assets, we're going to get a whole bunch of 3D assets from. It's from Filebase, man. We've got so much stuff in here. It's not even funny anymore. We got ammo kits. We got safes. We got we just put up a whole new amount of musical instruments, the flags, the lab assets. We have space fighters. How many of you guys have come to me and said, Al, the space fighter looks like poop. We would like a different space fighter in there. Dude, do it. This is you right now. Like, look at all the space fighters you have a choice from. You know, you let's say you like this one. Download this into your scene now. You know, now you can just create your own image sequence of different level type of ships, but also the ships banking and turning and rotating. I mean, you guys can really legitimately make any of that at this point, and make that work for you. So, you know, I get the space fighter, edit, render pipeline, universal, update project, proceed. You know, I could drop that into my scene now, and you know, set my space fighter up to be an awesome looking, you know, 2D asset. Boom. You know, that's how easy it is. And then I can do my rotations and my banks on it, and do stuff like that. And you could do some awesome stuff right there. Another question from Wolf. One more question. Does it work on things like terrains from 3D for making 2D sprites? Yeah, you're making a 2D sprite. So, you know, if you want to use terrains and then record it and then convert it into a sprite, you could totally do that, man. It's just press play and see if they stitch together and they look nice. You know, there's food assets. How many of you guys actually want to draw an avocado? Nobody wants to draw an avocado. But to actually just grab this avocado, take a screenshot, and now you have a sprite of fruit that you can use in, let's say, like a Castlevania type of game where he picks it up and you get some health. Boom, you're done. That takes like 3 seconds to do now. A magazine rack. Think of how hard that would have been to build using a 2D or a wheelchair or all this stuff. You know, we even have walls and environments, missiles, guns, airplanes, ceiling fans, just so much stuff that you could use to legitimately make any type of game. You know, this dungeon environment, you could just copy and paste it, and now you have an entire sprite sheet. Trees. Who wants to design a tree? And better yet, let's say you do this tree and you're like, man, I could really think I can make this look better. Then do it in Photoshop or GIMP or whatever else you want to do. It'll come in perfectly. Another cool thing is these torches, right? The fire. Have you ever tried to hand animate fire? You'll want to poke your eyes out after about frame number 3. But now you could take our VFX, our fire, and just record a screen capture of it, or even take the sprite sheet in, and boom, you're done. There's no other work attached to it. Again, doors, turrets, weapons. You know, take this plasma turret right here. This is a great example of turning something from 3D into 2D. Imagine you're going to do a side-scrolling space adventure, similar to like a Life Force or Gradius or any of the other turrets out there. And you wanted to have this turret aiming in different directions. You don't have to redraw this turret over and over again. Oh my gosh, how many times am I going to do this? I'm going to delete this space fighter. Now we have this turret. I'm going to set it to the pivot. I'm going to bring it to the bottom. And I can literally capture a sprite sequence of the turret rotating. And then I can have a sprite sequence of the turret aiming up or down or whatnot. And then, you know, you guys match the animation to what you want. Or, you know, you just record the sprites out, and in script, you have this adjusting up and down. And then when the player gets past a certain point, then you set your animation to turn around. And then you play it back to reverse if the player returns to the other direction. And then you don't have to draw every single part of this manually, which is just, oh boy, that is the worst thing that you could possibly do. It's just it. There's too much inconsistency. It's slow. It's not an enjoyable process. And it, again, it goes back to us saying now you don't have to be the artist. You could use us, and we can help you build the art for your game. So if you did want to go into that 2D mode of world, you realistically could. And these assets are all set up for you guys to just absolutely kill it, you know? The silver bars, the golds, the guns, the weapons, even kitchen ranges, sci-fi guns. You could see how great those would look. Yeah, just so much going on here. Okay, in that, is there a part missing? No, we built this specifically. You see, there's kind of like this like a air vent underneath, which is meant for this turret to kind of just float in midair. That's all it was. It was just a stylistic approach. But you know, military bags, mining carts. Imagine a side scroller with a mining section in there, and you go into a tunnel. We have a modular tunnel system in here. You guys can use that to build your tunnels and stuff like that. Plants. Gosh, I can go on and on and on about this. But yeah, I mean, this is such the buildings themselves. You just loading up a street with the different buildings, and then you got alleyways and stuff, and you just drop in sprites in, and it's all lit the same way. And then you do the same post effect with your Photoshop, and you're using tile map to just lay this whole thing out. You're done. You're done. It's epic. It's amazing what you could do with this. So. No, I hope you guys walked away learning something. I hope you guys walked away saying, "Oh wow, this is viable," and I hope you can at least see this and know, all right, the power is in your hands now. You guys make whatever type of game asset you want to create, and it can or use any type of our 3D asset to make a 2D asset that would be beautiful for your game, and you guys will be set. Okay. All right, I think that's enough for me today. I know it was a shorter stream, but I think it was kind of right to the point, exactly hitting what we're going to do. And if you are interested and you want to sign up for Filebase to get a whole bunch of those assets, there's that HDRP 99 code down on the bottom. Just log into that. It takes the price of a yearly membership down from $300 a year to $99 a year. And it gives you complete access to Filebase. In fact, I got a bunch of assets I need to upload today anyway. And yeah, I mean, I hope to see some really amazing content from you guys with 2D assets. And if you know somebody who's having an issue about that, just let them know what's going on and what they could use to build their 2D games. And shoot, I mean, it's an easy way to really do something amazing quickly in Unity. All right. Let's see. Filebase Level Jam. What was your opinion on the submissions, and when are we going to be able to vote for them? My opinion on the submissions for the Filebase, it was funny. I was looking at them with John. I don't know. John usually deals with sort of like opening up the voting for these different Filebase jams. I'll talk with him either today or tomorrow to see what he wants to do. I know when John and I looked at them, the first thing we said was, some of these are okay, some of these are really nice, but by far I feel like a lot of these games look better than a lot of the games we've seen in the past. And it was interesting when we started cutting it up and we said, all right, well, what if we just focus in on one section instead of making you guys build an entire game? What if like one element of a game was the important part? Because I know there's like is there an opportunity to just have people work on lighting? Is there an opportunity for people just to work on, establishing a mood of a particular level? Or is there an opportunity for someone, who spends all their time programming systems for a game to just focus in on, just make this one element work beautifully? I don't know. There was so much to talk about there, but when we were looking at the actual product, we were like, wow, these look really good in comparison to some of the stuff that we see in the past, where it's just like planes and capsules and stuff like that. And it was one of those things where we were like, wow, I would like to do more of these file-based oriented challenges, because it takes that whole programming side out and you just focus on building pretty levels. And then when it comes to like programming a game, let's take the art side out of it and just maybe look at just the fundamental programming side. And then hopefully the two sides will eventually merge. And it's like, okay, now you know how much time it takes for you to do level design, and you know how much time it takes for you to do programming. So let's merge those two together, and we'll give you X amount of time, but know that in your personal usage, you only have 12 hours to script your game, and you only have 8 hours to do a level design. So you know how long it would take you to do, use it wisely. And I think that in that sense, the level design, the level design game jam was exactly what I hoped would have happened, and it was very successful in that way. And my goal is, I'll do more level designs live so that people could see how easy it is to build a level, how easy it is to light, how easy it is to use different pipelines to make a beautiful scene. And then hopefully over time, everybody gets to the point where it's like, oh, I know exactly how to do it. This is almost muscle memory at this point. And everything I produce at this point is always going to look this quality. So, yeah, I mean, there was definitely a very big, interesting insight on how people use Filebase, and I definitely noticed the people who did use it, they knew how to do it, they knew how to light it. Mike, I remember yours, I was like, dang, this looks amazing, this looks really good. And I saw one that was like basically like a Battlestar Galactica. I don't know if it was you, Vlad. It was like a Battlestar Galactica replay. I was like, oh man, that was incredible. And it was just like, dang, that is neat. And there was a couple others that I saw that were like, whoa, this is actually like blowing my freaking mind how cool this is. There was one where it was a giant space station that you went from, the bridge, and some people didn't do cinematic cameras. Some people did actual, like, I'm gonna drop a collider in a first person character and run through the scene, and yeah, it was just like, whoa, you do not realize that you built a game with your first person camera running through our entire scene without any programming really at all. And it's just incredible when you're sitting there like, wow, that is nuts. That blew my mind. So yeah, there was a couple in there. I was like, dude, you guys, you don't call yourselves artists, but you are artists, and we're just going to keep pumping you guys with tools, but you guys are going to make beautiful things that we're not even going to consider. So no, in future level designs, I'll create another level design, and the next level design I do, the theme is going to be very similar, so it's good to kind of watch it and get an idea, but then you can kind of take it on your own from there. So, but it was fun. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, Vlad, I saw your D Space Nine. I'm like, look at that. He created an entire Space Force type of flight arena. I thought I looked really good in the hold that was going to get ejected into space while I'm doing my dance. But no, I mean, it was a lot of fun, and it was fun to watch them. It was fun to see you guys build full-fledged environments real quickly, and full-fledged space stations with bridges and these beautiful hallways and tunnelways and all this other stuff. I mean, just really cool to see a lot of these things. So I was pretty stoked. And we will do more of these in the future, because I think they stick and they stick well. Okay, well, I'm tired, I'm hungry, and I got a lot of assets to put onto Filebase today. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys dig it. I hope you guys see how you could make a 2D game using these, and we'll just, we'll kind of go from there. I don't know, maybe the next level design will be more like, let's build a 2D game in Unity using Filebase. So I mean, there's options there as well. It doesn't always have to be 3D. Anyway, guys, thank you for hanging out. I gotta change the title. I don't know why it's called Star Wars Inspired Level Design Live. Jesus. And then kind of go from there. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate it. And we'll, next hangout, we will do this again, and I'll show you guys more. Yeah, just keep an eye on Discord and the community channel, and I'll be here for a few minutes, but then have a fantastic day. Introducing the GameDevHQ Pro Membership, a brand new subscription-based service aimed at helping you succeed as a game developer. This service gives you access to powerful tools, amazing assets, and easy-to-follow certifications to make you become a legit Unity 3D game developer and software engineer. Get instant access to over 100 hours of authorized training available through our built-in custom streaming platform. Earn your game developer certification and software engineer certifications by developing games for 2D, 2.5D, 3D, mobile, and even AR. The GameDevHQ Pro membership also provides the easiest, most powerful, and enjoyable tool to give you the freedom to create. Introducing Filebase, an amazing tool built for Unity 3D that gives you access to thousands of video game assets developed by our in-house team of artists, from weapons, tools, props, vegetation, vehicles, systems, and even entire levels. You'll see how incredibly easy and enjoyable game development can be. Your membership's value will continue to grow through the year as new assets are added on a weekly basis and can even be requested. We have made it our goal to help you not only enter the world of game development, but successfully build and publish your game. The Pro membership also includes a growing library of custom-built challenges and a vault filled with live Pro Workshop content. This GameDevHQ Pro membership provides you a powerful set of tools and training that makes learning game development easier than ever before. Log on to GameDevHQ.com right now to learn how the GameDevHQ Pro membership can become your game development solution. Want to build a game that looks like this or like this? We are GameDevHQ.com, and you can build an amazing game using thousands of ready-to-go assets from our Filebase library with our Pro membership. Visit us at GameDevHQ.com now for a free trial.